Hello everyone and welcome back to Brand by Brand. If you're new to the channel, or perhaps it's been just a little bit too long since the last episode I released, this series aims to take a more in-depth look at each brand from my 2019 Top 10 Favorite Watercolor Brands video. This is in order to build a custom palette that features unique selections from each brand while still meeting the needs of a standalone palette. So far we've taken a look at the Deep and Textural collection from Daniel Smith, a soft and delicate palette from Schmincke, and a bold selection of unique colors from Da Vinci. Today, we will be exploring the 130-year-old company from France, Sennelier. Their watercolor line, L'Aquarelle, are made from gum arabic, honey, pigments, and purified water as they have been for over a century. The formulas for their tube paints and extruded pans do differ, so some artists may prefer one version over the other. Sennelier is best known for their transparency and clean glazing ability. They have some very unique yellows in their line and a wide range of reds that is extensive, though they are not particularly well known for a strong range of earth tones. I'd recommend this brand to artists who like smooth colors and don't have a need for those deep and granulating earth colors. In this 12-color set, I set aside my love of earth tones and instead opted for as many clean mixing spectral colors as possible, with just a couple of dark neutrals added in for good measure. Sennelier is particularly well loved among botanical painters for their smooth and bright colors. As you all know by now though, I am not one of those strong botanical painters myself. However, I do know where you can find and learn from a vast array of talented botanical artists over on Skillshare who are sponsoring this video. Skillshare is an online learning community that offers membership with meaning. They aim to empower you to accomplish your goals through relatable, real-world projects and a supportive, interactive community. In just a moment, we will be creating a mixing chart that shows off what this palette is really capable of. And if you'd like to learn more about how to make a mixing chart like this, as well as your own fully customizable watercolor palettes, be sure to check out my class on Skillshare titled How to Set Up a Custom Watercolor Palette. While you can of course paint anything that you'd like with the Sennelier watercolors we'll be looking at today, if you're especially interested in exploring watercolor flowers, be sure to check out Skillshare for dozens of botanical and floral classes. Skillshare is very affordable, especially compared to in-person classes and workshops, at less than $10 a month when billed annually. Make 2020 a year where you explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in your creativity. The first 500 of my subscribers to click the link in the description below will get 2 free months of premium membership so you can begin to explore that creativity. Now, on to the main event. First up is Yellow Sophie, made from PY93. Disazo yellow is not a very common color, which is definitely why I had to include it in this uniquely Sennelier palette. This color is a mid-tone yellow that is moderately light-fast and semi-transparent. It is beautifully bright in its mass tone and softens to a delicate pastel yellow when it's tinted out. It mixes vibrant oranges, electric greens, and yellow-based earth tones that lean slightly towards that green end of things. This is actually the first time in this series that I'm following my own advice and including a dedicated warm yellow from my basic palette recipe. In Sennelier's range, I chose QUINACRIDONE Gold made from PR101, PY150, and PR206. A bit more orange than other variations of this hue, this uniquely mixed hue isn't available from many other brands. I find it makes a lovely, warm yet transparent yellow for this limited palette. It mixes slightly more fiery oranges, warmer and more natural looking greens, and richer earth tones than the Yellow Sophie that we already have in this palette, earning it its own unique space. Moving on to our warm red, we're headed straight for French Vermilion, Sennelier's hue of the extremely toxic original version of the color with the same name. Another Disazo pigment, PR242, is a vivid scarlet that is light fast, semi-transparent, and heavily staining. Handprint.com regards it as possibly one of the most intense red-orange pigments available in watercolors, and it retains its high chroma even when it goes through its drying shift. Its rich, warm undertones make for intense oranges, deep, muted purples, and soft, dark neutrals. As mentioned earlier in the video, Sennelier is well known for their extensive selection of reds, so we have a couple more coming. In the next spot for this palette, I've chosen QUINACRIDONE Red. While I personally don't use PR209 very often in my wildlife paintings, this gorgeous, cool cherry red couldn't be overlooked. This light, fast, transparent color mixes vibrant pinks and purples, soft grays, and rich, warm browns. While usually regarded as a middle red, it has an underlying violet property which makes it a uniquely versatile palette staple. Since QUINACRIDONE Red can still be considered a middle red, I wanted to offer a magenta for this palette as well. Moving away from my comfort pick of a PV19 like QUINACRIDONE Rose, I decided to go with HELIOS Purple on this palette, which is made from PR122. Referred to as QUINACRIDONE Magenta by most other brands, this red-violet pigment is light fast, semi-transparent, and staining. It mixes incredible pinks, deep and vibrant purples, moody dark teals, and once again, really nice, rich, warm browns. A true standout in this palette, next up, is DIOXAZINE Purple. PV23 is a beautiful mixer in general, but Sennelier's version is particularly gorgeous. In its mass tone, it's nearly black, and it tints out to a very neutral purple that doesn't lean too blue or too red. When mixed with reds or pinks, it creates beautiful warm purples, and when mixed with blues, it makes for some inky violets. The deep blues, teals, and browns are also really stunning with this color. Sticking with the theme of vibrant and transparent colors, I decided to go with blue Sennelier rather than a traditional ultramarine for the warmer blue on this palette. PB15:6, usually referred to as phthalo blue red shade, is a deep, highly staining blue that packs quite the punch. It's warmer than a typical phthalo blue green shade and mixes deep greens, intense violets, bright blues, deep teals, and dark neutrals that have dark green undertones. Originally, I was going to put phthalo blue green shade in this slot, but being so close to our other phthalo color, I decided to go with a surprising for me pick. I originally gave Sennelier a really hard time for including Cinereous blue in their starter packs, but since then I've come around to this light blue hue. A more eco-friendly option than traditional ceruleans or cobalts, this light but bright blue hue still has a lot to offer for a palette. It mixes extremely bright greens, muted to bright violets depending on the red or magenta that it's paired with, and sea-inspired teals. Next we have Viridian, which is made from a combination of PG7 and PG18. Usually I opt for a phthalo green blue shade on my palettes, but Sennelier doesn't actually offer a single pigment version of this color. It also doesn't offer a single pigment true Viridian either. Instead, they mix the two together for this unique shade that sits somewhere in between the intensity of the phthalo green and the granulating but soft and often difficult to re-wet Viridian. Combining the best of both worlds, this color proves to be a useful mixer in creating bright greens, cool blues and teals, and softly granulating neutrals. In addition to our brighter green, I also decided to include a lovely dark convenience green as well, forest green. Made from a combination of PPK7, PG7, and PY42, this convenience color fills a somewhat similar role to Pearling Green on my other palettes. However, this paint color has more vibrance and saturation overall. My favorite mixes from this one are the deep teals and blues, but it also makes the richest black and the most neutral gray on this particular palette. Skipping the lighter earth tones entirely, I did still want to include a brown and dark neutral for convenience. For the brown, I opted, very unlike me, for a dual pigment transparent brown made from PBK7 and PR101. Despite usually advocating for single pigment earth tones, I'm really not a fan of any of their PBR7s. This hue was my favorite of the earth tones that they have available, and I felt like it fit best with the rest of the palette. It offers a soft granulation while mixing dark, moody earth tones with underlying violets and greens depending on the color that you mix it with. Rounding out our palette with a dark neutral, I chose raw sepia made from PBK7 and PBR7. I might have gone with their neutral tint if I had had it on hand, while others may opt for their cooler Payne's Gray, but I decided to go with this warmer version to fill a raw umber type role in my earth tone lacking palette. I think it mixes lovely darks across the entire palette's range, but I would completely understand if you wanted to default to a more typical black adjacent color. So there you have it, my friends. Compared to the brands that we've done previously in the series, I would say that Sennelier's range falls somewhere between Da Vinci and Sennelier. It has a lot of depth and vibrancy, but also a bit of softness. If you are on the fence about whether or not to try Sennelier, I hope this video helped nudge you in one direction or the other based on what's best for you. If you are already a fan of this brand, do let us know what some of your favorite colors from them are in the comments below. As always for this series, I have an entire secondary palette of Sennelier colors up on the Patreon blog to provide additional options if some of these colors missed the mark for you. And don't forget to check out Skillshare using the link below if you want to learn more about custom palette creation, botanical painting, or one of countless other topics available in the community. Also, real quick before you go, I wanted to let you know that I will be moving again this month. This time it's a local move rather than cross-country, thank goodness, but I do have a lot of extra added expenses, so in order to raise funds, I'm going to be running a huge sale over on Etsy now through March 18th. Be sure to check out the sale for 15% off all new zipper bags, art prints, and even original paintings, which are almost never listed in the shop, let alone on sale. I also have a bunch of new sticker designs too, though those aren't included in the sale. I hope that you find something that you like over there, and thank you in advance to those who are able to support me with a little extra something during this time. Thank you as always to my wonderful patrons for their ongoing support, and to each and every one of you for watching, commenting, liking, and subscribing here on YouTube, and to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Until next time, happy painting!